Hello there, ladies, gentlemen and unicorns. Thank you so much for dropping by for today's stream. A little bit earlier than usual, but yes, I had the time. I've slept well, and also I've got something to help me pass the time. I've had too much coffee before the stream, so yeah, I don't have as much coffee as necessary. I'm just worried maybe the audio is too loud there. Sorry. I think this should be better now. Sorry for if it was a bit too loud right now. Cool. Thank you so much for dropping by. Today I thought I stream for a bit longer. Let's see just how long I can keep it up before my voice starts to crack. Yes, today's program will be finishing the painting that we started 2 weeks ago. Last week, as you remember, I had to postpone the stream because I was just a little bit under the weather, but not so much in terms of being sick or anything, thank God. It was just, I think I'm, as they say, burning the candle at both ends. I was a little bit burned out, and I was given the mandate to essentially just chill for a week and not try to work and not think about working, and yeah, so I think I've recovered so far, so this is why we're here and doing some very chill painting. Yes, and the other thing is I've watched Lilo Cormic's stream a couple of days ago, and she was doing a speed run of The Messenger, great game by the way, and also performing on Twitch Sings, and one of the songs that she played reminded me of one of the songs from Rocksmith, because as I wrote, whenever I close my eyes I just see the tabs flying at me, and I meant to do some Rocksmith streaming a couple of weeks back but never managed to get it to work. And the reason for that was that I was overcomplicating things, trying to have two setups, one on my laptop and then pipe in the video from my computer so that I don't have any lag and so on and so forth, but also hear myself playing. So yeah, long story short, I think I've sorted things out with a lot of Rocksmith modding tools, and I think when we're done with the painting, yeah, let's play a bit of Rocksmith. And I have to warn you, I'm not a pro player, but yeah, I hope just that we gonna have some fun. All right, so let me find and switch back to my painting. That's the thanks for watching thing. Here we are. So I hope you can see my screen and my mouse pointer. Yes. Because the thing with the mouse pointer is that, yeah, my zoom is working now, because I was complaining the other streams that sometimes my glass brick, as the app is called, that allows you to zoom in on a Windows desktop like that it wasn't working. Turns out it had reset the user settings and was expecting a different shortcut, so this is why it was sometimes working and sometimes it wasn't. Okay, so let's bring you up to speed. So last time I started on this painting there with the some sort of dark Lovecraftian feel to it. Here we got some splash. Oh yeah, the fog is still there, and I was worried a bit that it's a bit too dark what we see here, so this is for the stream. I just popped on an adjustment layer to make things a bit brighter there for us. And yeah, I was playing around with this thing there in terms of the color and the palette, and we had it before that the sky was red, but then it wouldn't so much clash with this red eye here. So this is why we went for this bluish, greenish, sickly green sunset here. So then I thought, yeah, let's add some more details. Let's just finish up the painting. As you can see, I'm really not a pro with painting, but it's really soothes my mind, and I think this is why we're here for. It's the pain of painting. The good friend Phil Ross. Wonderful. So I have to disappoint you. There won't be any happy little trees, but we get at least an agonizing little monster crawling up there from behind. Or maybe those are just tendrils from some flower or some vegetation growing there. You don't know. This was what we arrived at last time. You don't know what this could be, and this is what I really like about paintings. So this could be the cliffside or anything. I mean, it looks like that because there are some rocks falling here, but also with this thing here, I think, was it you, Frank, who mentioned last time in the stream that it looks like some sort of the bow of a ship, or what's it called? Not the stern. Yes, I think it's called the stern, the front part of a ship there. It's a bit like Rivet City in Fallout 3. Anyway, yeah, let's continue where we left off last time. Bow, thanks, Frank. And that was, I had this little tugboat here with this light shining up at what's going on here. So I think, yeah, what we still need to do. Again, I really like so far where things are progressing. Maybe I just, as I've also mentioned last time, I have a really fondness for colorful light sources that are very defined in their scope, essentially. So I really like this red eye here of the lighthouse. Maybe I can work a bit with that, and I think now that I'm looking at it, I mean, it looks kind of nice. Especially at thumbnail size. Always check your work at thumbnail size. But I think even when I turn down the adjustment layer, the sky is just too bright. It's just too bright because it hints at the sun having set at the left part of the image, and I think this draws your attention away from what is actually happening there. And usually you drive the audience's gaze, at least as I've come to realize it, with a different contrast. At first, I mean, there's a hierarchy of perception. First you see contrast and motion, and then you start seeing color, and then the last thing that's important to perception is resolution. So if something is moving, it's always more interesting, or you perceive it before looking at something with nice colors and so on. So yeah, in terms of this, you want to grab the viewer's attention by working with contrast. And it looks like the contrast on this part, on the left part, is a bit too strong, I would assume. So what can we do about this? Because I want to drive or lead the players, now I'm saying the players, the audience's gaze more towards the lighthouse. Oh, look at this! Wonderful! I'm already getting some sort of spam. This is nice. Good thing is that I'm rolling my own moderation here. So what can I do? Well, I don't want to reply to this message, but I can... No, I don't want to gift a sub, block and report for spam. Spam, there we go. I think this is a bot account. Could you provide more detail about this issue? Twitch asks me. You may include links to videos. No, I cannot. Just spamming. And I've just typed the word just with an L in front, so this was also something that I had to correct now. Beautiful! Beautiful. Hello, viewer number 4 to this stream. If you have a moderator view, you can also delete the message directly. I don't have moderator view. Is this an add-on to Twitch? I'm really sorry, Frank. I know you're cooking right now, so you don't have to answer. You can answer me as soon as you get to it, as it's once it's convenient for you, because I don't expect being spammed right now. But yeah, maybe I just jinxed it. Okay, so what can we do about diminishing there the contrast? And let me pick, yeah, this charcoal brush here. The easiest way is really just to make it a bit darker and diminish the contrast, essentially. So I'm increasing my opacity here, and maybe the brush tip is still too small. Yeah, 2000. This should be good. So I mean, this is not how it's going to look in the end, but you see what I mean now. The left part of the image is not as interesting at all anymore, because our eyes are drawn to what is happening there around the middle. Okay, like I said, maybe it was a bit too strong, so I'm going to blur this entire thing here. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good. And let me turn down the opacity that it's not as strong as you can see. Frank says it's there somewhere, I don't really know the details yet, but I think you can also go directly to it, a Twitch moderator / Pixel Prophecy and so on and so forth. You know what, I have a bot running, the Moo bot, because we like cows and I'm very grateful to cows for all the milk they provide me for my coffee. But I can just look it up, moderator view. I just thought that was a certain plugin or extension to Twitch. Mod view by clicking on the mod sword icon at the bottom of the chat pane. Is it though? I don't really see it, but maybe there's a link to it, because I really don't want to read Twitch documentation while I'm on the stream right now. So, where is it now? You can also navigate to moderator, right? Moderate your own channel. I think there we are. Moderator view, beautiful. Welcome to mod view, and I'm going to skip all the introductions, so beautiful. Okay, wonderful. So I got the mod view and my stream summary and 4 viewers. Beautiful. Okay, thank you so much. And oh hey, a lady Mistleaf just dropped by. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, to continue where we were, just a little heads up to Lady Mistleaf. I'm just trying to diminish the contrast there on the left portion of the painting. Maybe I add something there that it's not as pronounced as it is. I mean, right now, maybe I can even, with the black brush, I can even paint out some there of the cloud detail, just so that it's not distracting us from the interesting part that's happening on this side. Cool. Yeah, maybe I just offed a bit too much of the horizon line there. So yeah, let's try it like this, so that there's a bit more horizon line, that it doesn't look like there's just a gradient, because that's actually what it is essentially. But yeah, I think this works a bit better now. And Lilo Cormick also dropped by. Thank you so much. So, finishing off there, the clouds. Oh, this was a bit too sloppy. Okay, so I'm always, when I'm looking at the sides, I'm always looking at the thumbnail view on the navigator there. Maybe I should just pin it there. I think this looks okay, because I'm always checking how it looks at the thumbnail size, because there's no point in drawing details when you get some issues there with composition overall, or just where you notice a certain lack of certain details in some areas. I mean, right here the brush is too small, so I've painted too many details in there, so it looks a bit weird. Well, not weird is not the right word. It looks a bit unfocused in terms of, yeah, where in the clouds the details actually are supposed to be. And I think I've painted just, yeah, the brush was just not coarse enough. Usually I have the other problem. Oh, I was using the smudge tool. This was the problem. Good, okay, so I'm really trying to even out now what I made here in the clouds. Yeah, the clouds now, I think I've destroyed some of the appeal of the clouds, because now it doesn't look as three-dimensional anymore. So, Lady Mistleaf asks, what did I miss? Who needs deleted and banning? Yeah, I was just getting a bot spam comment, and now I wield the sword of moderation, ye old ban hammer. But yeah, I don't have to use it, I think, as much. Because we're all such a wonderful, nice community, and I have to thank you for it. So no death threats so far. But I mean, this is the internet, so you never know. Well, as long as I'm not giving my opinions on The Last of Us 2 and the Kotaku article, I think we should be golden. Yeah, I think I should quit messing there with the clouds. Like I said, I think I've destroyed something, a bit of the depth in the clouds, because right now, since the entire canopy of the clouds is supposed to stretch towards the horizon, and now from what I can see it looks like more like a wallpaper, because there is no, like I said, there is no feeling of three-dimensionality to it, because usually maybe I can salvage this. So I have here a bit more detail and those things a bit closer together, and the closer I get to us where we are supposed to be standing, wow, this was the wrong brush, the more the softer the clouds get. So maybe like this. Yeah, still not too happy. Still not too happy with this, but yeah, here we are. So I think I've messed it up, but yeah, anyway, we can come back to the clouds. I mean, you can clearly see that I'm just trying to dance around the issue that we have still here. I find you've taken away too much. Yeah, I think so too. Maybe I will start over on the clouds when I'm finished with the rest. Lilo says, where have the red clouds gone? Yes, the red clouds are now the green clouds there, because I want to have some more of red malignant light emitting there from what we have here, and then it would be just two colors and the red wouldn't stand out as much. But in the end, I mean, palette changes are quite common in my paintings, so I might change it in the end anyway. Okay, so let's stop dancing around the issue. I will come back to those tendrils here, or whatever they are, and see if I can add something to those, or maybe if I'm just, so I like to say it, putting putting makeup on a corpse when something really doesn't work, and you just keep trying and you make it worse. Essentially what I've been doing there with the clouds. So this doesn't look like tentacles at all, right? It's, for some reason, it's not tentacly enough. So yeah, I just, you know what, I just start over on this one here, just to have the shape there. Yeah, this really looks like there's some plant growing. Yeah, not happy with this. How much do we mess up the clouds? You sound like a modern IT manager. Yeah, when all your files are in the cloud, sometimes you wonder what happens when it rains. What does this mean? Okay, I'm adjusting my brush now so that maybe I can draw a bit better there, those tentacles. Interestingly, I think Lovecraft was the first one that really invented this, crustaceans and other sea creatures as monsters, essentially. Before that, there were mostly ghosts and skeletons and things like that. So, yeah, this. Okay, I think the problem that I'm having is that I should think about what this monster that's crawling up on this cliff on the other side actually looks like. There was the Kraken, of course, right? The Kraken. Good point. So maybe Lovecraft didn't invent it as much as he was just using it to its fullest extent. There was also this interesting web page that I once found that detailed what Lovecraft was afraid of, and the list is quite long. So essentially this poor soul was pretty much afraid or terrified of almost anything apart from writing perhaps. But yeah, I think the article mentions that the list is so long that it would have been easier or quicker to just say the things that he wasn't afraid of. And of course, yeah, sea creatures are high on that list. Aulilo is going. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by. Maybe I see you later, maybe not. Still appreciate it that you found some time to check out the stream. Okay, yeah, still dancing around the tentacle issue there. This looks almost cute. I mean, I'm quite smitten with this image there of this tentacle trying to get a hold on the lighthouse there. So maybe I start adding some more details there. Just give it some sort of weird outline. Yeah, as I've also mentioned in the last stream, that since I'm not really good at painting, I like to keep pretty much everything that I can't draw in the dark, and which is good as you can see here, because I only need a wobbly outline there on the silhouette, and it already hints at some weird scarry surface there. So I think I can get away with this. So it really doesn't take much that it looks like something. Maybe I can even add to this outline with some light fringing, as we have here, to give it a bit more definition, but not too much, so that you can't really quite make out what it actually is. So is this part there, or is this a tentacle there, or just a piece of rock there? Not quite sure, because this is the other thing of how to differentiate different things there, different elements, so to speak, in your painting, is also by working using different techniques, perhaps on different parts. Well, it's not so much techniques, but as you can see here, the cliff is quite angular, and so it's much easier to tell if this wobbly bit here is part of the monster, and anything that's more angular is part of the cliff. And also here the lighthouse should have much harder defined outlines there, really to make it stand out from the creature. So, but where is now the lighthouse? Splashy eye boat. It's on the cliffs, no? Light, of course, it's on the layer that I called lighthouse. So now it's pretty obvious where the lighthouse is and where this tentacle is at. So if you layer 8, whatever layer 8 is, so it's this weird city ruins. I'm still not quite sure what is going on here. Maybe this is too small. Let me just try and make it bigger. But now the monster and the lighthouse don't look as interesting. But now I have a feeling now it really looks like some sort of ship or boat, if it's like this. What if I take it out completely? You know what? I think I will take this one out completely. I mean, it looks okay. But let's get rid of whatever I did here. It looks okay, but now it's more, this lighthouse looks more alone and solitary. So this is good. But the one thing is now it looks a bit cute. What actually is happening there? It's like a giant head crab just climbing up there on the other side, and it's, yeah, not quite sure if I like it. Maybe I need something else there in the background. You know what? I will just try and pick a color here. And Marshmallow Thief is here. Heyo! Thank you so much for dropping by. Just having a problem trying to make this look a bit more menacing, so maybe... maybe I can just have here something in the distance coming out of the water. That you can't see. Maybe some. You know what? I will just draw poor man's Cthulhu there. Yeah, those are his shoulders. Yeah, now pretty much I've lost anything in terms of definition. So yeah, really, I'm just whatever it's called. The equivalent of spitballing is when you're drawing. It's come on, no, this is not the color that I want. Just want to smudge it here and then pick a color there on the side so that I have just a slightly darker shade of the color that I've been drawing with, and now I have to undo pretty much everything. So yeah, this is where I wanted to go. So here we have Big Bad Cthulhu. Just there, looking out of the water. So maybe this could be something. Not quite sure. Maybe it's too close. Maybe it's too far. And Remco++ is also here. Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you for the subscription, Frank. Very much appreciated. Thank you. So now that people are subscribing again, pressure is on to make this a bit more nice. So, yeah, not quite sure what to do with the shoulders there on good old Cthulhu. Maybe some. Now he looks like an angel, an octopus angel. That's also weird. Yeah, probably. This is, I think, probably not where we should be going. Remco says the city remind me of Into the Breach. Actually, yeah, also the color scheme is a bit more. If I go more towards purple, it could be a bit like Into the Breach, yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite happy with this thing there that happened. Yeah. Let's start over there. Again, I think maybe the problem is that it's a bit too concrete for what I'm trying to hint at. So maybe when you see it there in the background, you shouldn't be quite sure what it is. Maybe it's an island. Maybe it's something sinister. I think maybe we could try this, that I pass it off as an island, but when you look closely, then you might see something in it or not. I think this could work then. So of course I need to this is just sketching. It's brighter, the surf here. Yeah, this was a bit too bright. Yeah, this could work. Again, I'm always checking it here on the thumbnail to make sure that in essence it looks okay. Marshmallow Thief says, are you making this up as you go along? Bet your ass I do. This is my way of painting. I just most of the time I don't have a clear vision where I'm going with something. I just make a brush stroke and then see how things go from there. Also, Frank says, don't worry about how it looks on my behalf. My cooking involved hot oil and some of the fumes ended up on my glasses, on my vision is a tiny bit blurry right now. And this is exactly as my art is to be viewed. Frank says, what it has been redefined a few times already, so presumably, yes. Okay. I kind of quite like Cthulhu here. Maybe when we put it here in front, it's almost cute, and the further I put this thing here in the back, the worse it gets. So maybe I just keep it here. So in terms of composition, yes, we're talking composition now as if I'm a real pro. Essentially, you want to divide your canvas. I mean, it's, for one thing is, of course, it's good to have a center so that you know where things are in the center, and in our case it is precisely the boat. The other thing is to use thirds. You probably heard this, the rule of thirds, because for some reason is if you divide something there in thirds, as you can see there, most artwork falls somewhere into this partition there, where some things are always set in thirds, come in sets of thirds, and are relative to each other in which portion or which third of the image they are. Also works not just vertically but also horizontally. Yeah, my thirds aren't really that good, but you can see there that is usually, sometimes when I'm not quite sure where to put things, it helps me if I think in this composition scheme in the rule of thirds. The other one, of course, is the golden ratio. It comes up a lot in art history, and yes, I've studied art history also for a couple of semesters because sure, why not? Golden ratio, I just have to look it up that I'm not saying something that's completely wrong. The golden ratio is let me bring up Wikipedia, because let me Google that for you, is this stream apparently. Where's, oh, there, sorry. Good, okay, so here we are in Firefox, and the golden ratio is, you can see it here. Essentially this is like, if you once you know this, once you see this, you can't unsee it. So many paintings or photographic images that includes photos, renderings, films, well, not entire films of course, but scenes or shots in films are compositioned like this, where it's essentially, it's a bit like the rule of thirds, but it's not just thirds, it's a bit less than thirds. It's like was it 4/9 or something? Yeah, I'm not quite sure now. Now I'm not. I'm on very thin ice. But you can see the formula here. Essentially, it's a ratio of 1.16. So it's not thirds, but it's a bit less, a little bit less. And you can see this, yeah, like I said, throughout art history. I think even in paintings from 400, 500 years ago, they had. The artists used this golden ratio because it makes an image much more pleasing to look at. I mean, I can show you here just very quickly. Where do I have it here? Splashy, cliffs, and the lighthouse. So if, oh, this was wrong, boat. Yeah, now there we go. So if this would be in center here, it would be a bit boring, right? And if this composition was here, it would be, yeah, it's like a wallpaper, but not as an individual artwork. But if we follow this rule of thirds here, or the golden ratio, if I put it here, it suddenly has some sort of tension there in the composition. And now, of course, we can leave this space here open. But again, we can also use it and plop good old Cthulhu body here. So essentially it feels like there is, yeah, it's nice and it's interesting to look at compared to if it was just completely centered in the middle. Having a composition centered also works sometimes if you want to convey some sort of stability. For example, in architecture, photography, sometimes you see this where there is some symmetry, and the photographer really wants to emphasize this by framing it dead center, so that something looks like super rigid, super stable, super, yeah, constructed in a sense. But I'm completely getting off track now with trying to salvage whatever is going on there. So like I said, I don't like this city there. I really should name my layers now. Moppenster. Yeah, that's good enough. Then Cthulhu Rock. It's like the Fraggle Rock, but just more tentacles. And Ruins. There we go. And I will save it now. So I'm catching up now with the chat. You know enough of the words to fool most people, including me. It's the ratio between a mile and a kilometer, the golden ratio. Yeah, so 1.6. Is it really? Is it a sea mile and a kilometer? Something along those lines. I think it's pretty close, yeah. And Ingvar says, isn't it too early for a stream, Pixel Prophecy? Yes, it is, but I have nothing better to do. It's Sunday and oh, sorry, the logo is on the other side, so cheers. Although that might be a coincidence. Yeah, with measurements between the imperial system and the metric system, I always have to look it up. It's something that since I'm based in Europe and I've grew up with the metric system, it's incredibly hard to wrap my head around the imperial system for some reason. You either have to have grown up with it or you never get it without really doing the calculations in your head. When somebody says, yeah, it's like 90 degrees out there, I think, oh my god, we're close to boiling. And then of course I mean Fahrenheit, and then it's is this 30, 32? Yeah, in short, it doesn't make any sense to me. The imperial system is just a random point essentially. Of course, I'm sure there is some science to it, at least a little bit, but I mean the metric system, it's just so neat. Everything lines up at tens or hundreds or thousands, and everything is just so neat. I like this. An imperial mile is 1.609 kilometers. The golden ratio is 1.618. There we go. Thank you so much for doing the research on this. You should be cooking, my friend. And a nautical mile is 1.852, so it's almost 2 kilometers now. Lady Miss Liv says, lol, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that when people mention Fahrenheit. Yeah. You're Canadian, right? So this makes sense. Cool. Okay, so let's return there to the cliffs. Otherwise, this is getting into a rant about Fahrenheit versus Celsius versus Kelvin. Okay, so I'm trying to make things up as I go, and I'm trying now to see, should I, maybe this looks interesting, some sort of another cliff that rises here, but it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense geographically that you have this huge drop of a mountain and then just juts out a bit and forms a cliff, and somebody puts a lighthouse there. It doesn't make sense, so this shall go. The longer I keep working on this, the less I like it, actually. The stew is now simmering, so it doesn't require much attention anymore. Wonderful, okay, so good. So you're not putting your dinner in danger by responding to my baity comments about measurement systems. Yeah, what to do here? What to do? I want to give this a bit more interest. Maybe. I mean, I could do the good old staple there of I don't know what I should be drawing, and you probably can guess what this is. There are two things when you don't know what you should be drawing, but you still want to do something. Of course, I make this on a new layer so that I can easily delete it. How about this lone tree there that's dead and looks a bit crooked, and so just got an email. Beautiful. Maybe I should change my email tone. I've been having this one for a couple of years now. Actually, it's Tim Curry as the clown from the TV adaptation of It, and I think it was a certain meme at some point, but since then it's not as memey, and the good thing is I'm not afraid of this clown anymore. because anytime I get an email, yeah, you build up some sort of thick skin. But I think, you know what, I'm just asking, get any new ideas for that I could use as an email notification tone that's better than Tim Curry laughing. Still looked wrong composition-wise, says Frank. And oh yeah, one way in which that made sense is that it was the same cliff curving towards the viewer with perspective, making it look higher. This makes sense, but I'm not quite sure if I can draw this. And Lady Misliff says, Canadian indeed, I was playing World of Warcraft with a group from the US a long time ago. They were amazed at how little heat I could handle in the summer, and when they would be stunned by almost freezing temperatures in the winter, it was like, it's minus 10 degrees here, it's so nice. I would get the shut up Canada. I mean, minus 10 Celsius is pretty cold here. But I mean, it's global warming, so pretty much any temperature below freezing point is cold nowadays. Maybe have one of those crappy trees here, or is this too much? Is this too much? I mean, I like it composition wise, I would say, but yeah, you're not quite sure if it's not really something that's growing out there. Because now if there are some roots of the trees coming out of the cliff like this, then you're really not quite sure whether this is a tentacle is a part of this or not. So yeah. I mean, the mountain you drew and then deleted could be seen that way. Oh, now I know what you mean. So you know what, I make just to be on the safe side, I call this tree and leave it in. Just to be on the safe side, always make a new layer. Layers don't cost anything apart from RAM. Okay, so I'm just trying now here for a mountain range, essentially. So maybe then this should extend there to the background, that you know that we're looking at, or we're in some sort of bay area then with mountains. Yeah, I'm still not quite convinced how this could work, or whether this could work. You know what, I will leave it out, and maybe the composition is all wrong, because clearly the most interesting part there, if I go back to, well, not to this thing. Yeah, maybe, you know what, maybe I keep it. So just from the center, just this section here, I think this is the most interesting one. All the other things that have been giving me trouble so far. You know what, let's crop this. Let's crop this thing. Yeah, I'm not using a square composition. No, thank you. Let's go 16 by 9 or 9 by 16 so that it looks good on your phone. Maybe this is a bit too slender then. But actually, you know what, I really like this composition much more. And you can see here, by the way, this helping grid here in Photoshop, of course, it's the rule of thirds, and I think you can even, oh yes, beautiful, the golden ratio. There we go, thank you Photoshop. So as I've put it here, just by eye, you can see I've lined up the horizon pretty close at the golden ratio already. So apparently I'm doing things right here. Let's have a look at the diagonals. So essentially, it looks, I mean, the eye here is almost there at the intersection here. The little boat is down here. So you know what, I think I will keep it that way. Look at this, it looks much more interesting all of a sudden now. So yeah, this is the other trick. Just crop out what is not important. Our Lady Misleaf says, we used to minus 20 degrees in winter, minus 30 on really cold days. Yeah, this is Canada. This is Canada. So you're playing well into the stereotype that it's cold up there. It's really cold. My God, I can't cope with the cold too much. So this is why always we have the heating up here, because I want to run around in my t-shirts even in winter, because like I said, the cold is too cold here. I think it made the right side too heavy. Mountains in the background could maybe work if they were lighter because they're further away. Yes, of the distance, of the haze in the distance. This could have worked, but again, I would consider myself a good enough artist to really pull this off, that it really feels three-dimensional in this sense. From where are you, Ingvar? And of course, one thing those mountains do is remove the ambiguity. Yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, Ingvar is from Siberia. So yeah, apparently you're used to very, very cold winters. And you're from Novosibirsk or Vladivostok. I think you mentioned it somewhere, or I've read it on your Twitter perhaps. And Frank says we might end up in the middle of a cold bragging match here. Yeah, I think so too, and I've already lost. I've already lost. I mean, I'm living in the middle of Europe, so it doesn't really get as cold here, especially in the city. So, but I mean, the climate change now for a completely different topic. I've really noticed the climate change because I once made a song called December Rain. It was like 19 years ago. I made this song because on the 2nd of December it rained and it didn't snow, and this was completely weird to me, and I recall making this song. You know what? Ingvar says, I'm from Novosibirsk. Surprised you remember. Yeah, because Novosibirsk is something that comes up sometimes when you say, yeah, some people are like from where it's cold and there are only submarines stationed there. And I think this is pretty much everything that I know about Novosibirsk is the stereotype that that's where the submarines are and it's cold. And yeah, for some reason I remembered this. You know what? Maybe this is what. Maybe I can find December Rain in one of my songs, because I mean all of the music that's been playing in the background is from my archives. Because again, I'm still not quite sure what the big old record industry thinks of people streaming music, which they don't have any rights to, because music pertains to the big corporations. Alone and them alone. So, December Rain. Music 2004, so it's 16 years ago apparently. This is December Rain. So I can delete the ruins now. The Cthulhu rock probably I also don't need. Oh no, this was wrong. The Cthulhu rock I also don't need unless I want to pop it in the background. But yeah, I've deleted it anyway. You know what? I will save this here as a new version, as you do. Submarines in Novosibirsk would surprise me. Then I'm completely getting things wrong and I'm mixing it up with was it St. Petersburg then? Yeah, submarines in Novosibirsk, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Do you have access to the sea? Probably not. This was Vladivostok. I think I'm thinking about Vladivostok. Again, yeah, you can make fun of me. Geography and me, it's almost as bad as an American's view of the world. Haha, another stereotype here. The first time I hear about submarines in Novosibirsk, yeah. And they took a wrong turn. Murmansk, thank you so much. I think Murmansk was what I was thinking about. Okay, so maybe I can get rid of this layer. The reflections I still need. Yeah, I think I can work with this, and maybe I can try to make the clouds even darker. I mean, I like it when you have certain layers that in this case, like the clouds, are just a color solid and you use the layer mask to draw them, because now it's super easy for me to change essentially pretty much the entire feel of the layer just by changing the color. And sometimes when just playing around with the color, I mean, this is now a beautiful mellow sunset here, which I very much like, but it looks much too nice for what's going on here. Maybe if the clouds are dark, like black dark, or would this be too much? because I don't want it to look too friendly. Yeah, the music, I'm sorry, this is an early sketch. This song is called December Rain Pre, because it's pre-mastering, pre-mixing, and it's just playing along over a loop. And yeah, I'm not that good at instruments, and this was from 16 years ago, and I was really just started playing guitar for a couple of years back then. Of course, all self-taught is clearly obvious, so you know what, I skipped to another song, I'm sorry. So what's this? Cityscape Intermission. Okay, so this is a better song then. Looks like the distance between Murmansk and Novosibirsk is around 3,000 kilometers. Yeah, what is 3,000 kilometers? Russia is big. For the clouds, you know what, I will pick this color and make it a bit brighter, more greenish. Yeah, this brings us to color harmony, more or less. Because as some of you know, I work as a colorist over at Red Bull. And colors is pretty much my daily bread and butter, so I obsess over colors. Professionally, even. I think I will leave it at that with the clouds for now. And yeah, I will do some. This is the boat. Oh, beautiful! I painted the boat and the flashlight or this light cone on the same layer, which is something that I do not want. So I will try to separate those two. So this is just the boat. Yes, just the boat and just a cone of light. And with my beautiful smudge tool, I think I can make it look more lighty. if that's a word, it's probably not a word. Okay, so of course I want this, the light gets emitted a bit brighter or stronger. I turn down my opacity. Of course there are some shortcuts that you can do, like Control and Alt and then do a right click, and then you can change the diameter and the opacity by going up and down or left and right. But this is something that I've learned very, very late. I was using Photoshop like 20 years until I found out that this is possible. And this is why I'm always doing it the old way of going there up with opacity and doing a right click and doing the size there. I think it's probably also easier to follow if you watch this. But yeah, I'm well aware that there are much better ways of doing things in Photoshop, much quicker ways that I've never really picked up that much. Isn't 2 pixels not a value then? Okay, maybe the brush is too small and the opacity is also too light, because yeah, you really can hardly see it. Well, it seems like the distance between Novosibirsk and anything else is something like this. Makes traveling so painful. Oh my god, yeah. That's right. I'm wondering, do you ever feel isolated in Novosibirsk? So I love the internet for making it somewhat easier. Yeah, I think this is, I mean, sometimes, especially during COVID times, I think many people feel much more isolated than they usually are. Because, yeah, it doesn't matter if you talk to someone who's like living in the same city, but you don't get to see them, or if they're living like thousands of kilometers away, but the channels are the same. You just converse over social media and it actually feels like, yeah, you're talking essentially to people. It doesn't matter where they are. So this I really like about it. I mean, I don't know how I would have handled the pandemic in pre-internet days. And yes, I'm old. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with this cone of light. how it's looking right now. Also, remember this music, says Ingvar. Which music is playing? Probably not this one. Lady Miss Cliff says it's surprisingly cheap and high speed, the internet. Oh, this is great. This is, I mean, I think this is the worst thing that could happen if when you're in an isolated spot in the world and then the internet is crappy and then you realize really how much you've come to get used to conversing over the internet. Okay, so I think I've managed to beat this cone of light into shape somewhat. I turned down the adjustment layer. So this is how dark this picture actually is. So it's super dark, but I like it when something is super dark. Okay, so let's give it a bit more contrast, I would say, because right now I very much enjoy this picture there. Just this cutout here of the lighthouse with this S-shaped, with this round tentacle there. I'm not quite sure if this is original, coming to think of it. You know what? It reminds me of Sunless Skies, no, Sunless Sea, I think. I think they also have this, well, it's not a lighthouse, but it's a, oh my god, what's it called? A buoy? I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it. Always seen it written boy. It's a boy. Let me paste it here. This thing here, and I'm not quite sure if there's a tentacle or not, but yeah, I think I've seen this somewhere, and I just unconsciously recreated it. So yeah, I'm not taking full credit for this. A flotation device used for signalization. Exactly that one. So I will only, when I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, it's a flotation device. Okay, so boat copy is just flashlight, let's call it. Is it a floodlight? Flashlight? I think it's a buoy. Oh, thank you so much, buoy. Buoy, I like saying this, buoy. Some words are just fun to say. Okay, so gussy things up. Okay, I'm quite happy with the color of the sky and the clouds. I mean, this is part of the background here anyway, so reflections. So right now I'm putting pretty much anything that's of the same color. Well, it's not the same color, of the same shade there. That is sea and sky into this one group here, because the cool thing about the groups is that you can do adjustment layers that just are limited to what's happening in that group. So if I'm using now a hue adjustment layer, I can essentially adjust the background hue here in case I want it, which I don't want right now, of course. But why did I do this? So that I can pick up one of the colors here, one of the cloud colors, and give the horizon a bit more definition, I think. Like it's this line that's bright there on the horizon that's still behind everything. And no, I actually wanted to change the color here, make it brighter and more saturated, because making things brighter and more saturated always makes it look better. Yeah, something like this. This is good. This is my Overwatch brush, so I'm not using that one. Doesn't have to do with it being the Overwatch brush, I just don't use it in this painting. Yeah, this is another thing. You can see here I have a buttload of brushes, and usually I think it's a good practice to limit yourself to just a couple of brushes for a certain artwork. Otherwise it could come off as, yeah, that things just don't fit together if you use a different brush for pretty much everything. At least this is how I do things. Of course you can do it as however you please, but I've come to see it in my paintings when I'm using very hard brushes all over the place, and then just some very soft for certain things. I mean, it could work if you do just the rendering, just the shading with a soft brush, but everything else is hard. But yeah, overall, just like with anything, just limit yourself to a certain amount of options and don't stray too far, and then things look much more coherent. Okay, so this I again have a look at it without the adjustment layer. You can see here what's happening now, that the horizon line is much more defined now, that there's just a bit more going on here, and it really, again, it draws your eye to what is happening here, and this is what I feel is important. But of course it could be softer, and for this I do the very cheap trick and use a motion blur and just blur the motion, or blur it as if it were motion, like so, and then use my pastel brush or my charcoal brush and make it a bit softer as well, give it a bit more texture. But yeah, okay, let's also use my eraser and see if I overdid things, I think, but yeah, I think I should leave it at that. Okay, catching up with the chat now. Lady Miss Liv says, yeah, according to Google Translate, it is buoy with a W to kind of link it all together. Buoy! Yeah, flotation device. I think I'm sticking to flotation device. Wikipedia seems to indicate that too, although my IPA isn't very fluent. Buoy. Still feels wrong. I call it a boy, like God of War. Good. Okay, save and not touching this anymore. But maybe I need to update here the reflections. Well, update, just maybe augment. I like the word augment. Augment the reflections there. Now I'm just trying things out. How this looks again on the thumbnail. Yeah, my brush is a bit too small now, but they're just where this surf there, the spray is just picking up some of the color there of the sky here in front, and I think this could work. So get rid of this, and yeah, just try to mimic what I just did before, but not as sketchy. So this should be some of the surf here that's picking up the color there that's still on the horizon on this side, and of course on this side it does not. Yeah, this is one of those instances where I should have probably been to the sea at a certain point to be able to better get this foamy appeal down much better. I make the adjustment layer now that it's a bit more brighter, that you can actually follow along there, and things don't get completely messed up there by the compression. You missed the bit where I said boy is also correct. Did I? Apparently I did. And yes, I tried to think of French pronunciation as reasonably easy. Oh my god, you do. French pronunciation is, at least to me, it feels like pretty much all of the letters can be silent. And you're never quite sure which letter in a word is allowed to be silent in French. Lady Miss Liv says pronunciation, yes, but we tend to have silent letters and sounds achieved with letter combinations, accents. Yeah, exactly. So I'm really not quite sure what I'm doing. Yeah, turn down the adjustment layer and think, yeah, maybe this could still work. What is happening here? Oh, of course, this is underneath the splashy thing that I called splashy. But I shouldn't move the layer here, the splashy layer, because now it's not on top of the cliffs layer. Okay, so when I change the color here, or should I want to change the hue, the splashy layer is not affected. So I mean, this looks, oh my god, this looks pretty neat. I mean, it's a bit cheap, but I like it. Now we get the red sky again. Maybe the lighthouse is not red, but this cyan tinged blue, something like this. Somehow, I mean, I think I can work with this. Frank says, one fun thing with native English speakers is that they assume all languages have silent letters in KN and PS and the like. Yeah, it's always fun when, yeah, also in German. This coming from German, we get this combination of IE, which we call is a long I. So the E is silent, and you just it's like a long E. It's like double E. And the other thing is that when you have an E and an U, like in Europe, in German we say Oi, it's like O-I, right? And something this is with eology, Euro, pretty much anything Europa. At first it's really hard to get this out of your system that you want to say Europa, Eulogy, and so on and so forth. So yeah. This is also because it's a German name, the Euler interpolation, because Euler is German and yeah, his name is written with EU and not Oi. Again, I really like this red. I really like this red sunset here. Now, of course, I need also to change here the hue on the sea. It's got this red. This red appeal like blood on the sea. And of course the splashy needs also a color change. That it looks not as wrong like so. And of course the cliffs and pretty much anything that I drew here in the silhouettes, it all had this faint bluish appeal. You can see it here. It's not black. It's a little bit on the blue side because of course the sky was blue before. So I'm just wondering if there's an easy way for me to change the color of everything there without making things harder in the end. And I think now the easiest part really should be just to change here the hue to, what will it be? 180, so it's essentially the complete opposite of the color wheel. But yeah, this should be it. So the monster and the lighthouse. Yeah, I like this much better. And here, as for this sky background, I will just split this layer up that I have sea and sky separate from each other. And maybe I can play around here with the sky color as well. I like it when the sky here gets into this greenish part here, but I'm not quite sure, so I just leave it as it is right now. And Lepton is also here. I think this is how I pronounce your name, because the J is silent, but an E. One fun thing with native English, oh yes, this is what Frank said, and Dutch also has the E following another vowel, bit being a modifier to some extent. It's only used in IE and OE these days, although it's also used in A as well, as illustrated by my name. Gewarts, I think it is. So why so early today? I have nothing better to do. I thought it might be nicer if I just keep streaming a bit longer today, and also my wife is at work, so I don't know what I should be doing. It's Sunday, and I just wanted to have a chill, nice Sunday and hang with nice people. So cheers to all of you. Ramco says, make it a GIF, animate the sky colors, and maybe I shall. This is a good old plasma effect that was just a palette swap or a palette cycling all over the place, right? The good old days of 256 color images and nice applications in DOS that just display an image and cycle the colors by 180 or just 1 degree at a time, and you were like, whoa dude, this is so gnarly. This is how I talked in the 90s, by the way. Exactly how I talked in the 90s. Okay, let's finish this turret here. Speaking of cheers, my tea is ready. Wonderful, enjoy your tea. So glad to be on the stream. Oh, so glad to have you all. Okay, let's finish this now, because now we got this bright red there as our sun that is probably hidden behind there. Maybe I can do one thing that I enjoy probably the most about doing paintings, and this is having these silhouettes there and then painting on specular lighting. So I just pick here the red. By the way, if you can see here, when I'm having the color picker here and everything is red and I'm picking greens, in case you wonder how the hell is this happening, since the reds of course are caused by this adjustment layer here. And I have in my color picker settings, just to show you, in my sample I say all layers but no adjustment layers. And the reason for this is because I have on top an adjustment layer that makes everything a lot brighter, that you can see there on the stream, and I don't want to always pick essentially wrong colors there. I think I can close this palette here. Okay. So, painting, I think I can take now the red. I don't need to use the green because I'm pretty certain that I will stay with red. And now, yeah, it's painting specular reflections. Something like this. So, as if there were this light source right behind here, essentially, and then it's just radiating out whatever there is. So of course now the brush is too soft. I'll just call this spec 1 and use my Fills detail brush that is very sharp but also has a bit of texture to it. And yeah, this is my go-to brush essentially when I'm doing specular reflections like this. So one more and one more. So I hope this gives it a bit more depth. And also there, of course, on whatever this is. Again, I have to be very careful there when drawing specularity like this, because I tend to get carried away quite a lot. I think I've mentioned this in the last time, because it makes things look so nice so quickly, as demonstrated by this horrible artwork. How does this look? It's too much, right? It's too much. Because again, the sun is down here, so pretty much this is anything that is lit from below is casting shadows upwards. So essentially, I'm not quite sure where something should be occluded by what comes underneath it. Maybe I can have it like this. Yeah, maybe this works. And with specularity, sometimes, especially if you have some sort of super shiny surfaces, you really want the spec to be not too soft. Like as you can see here on this, I always want to say tendril, on this tentacle here, I want the specularity to be super hard compared to, let's take a Phil's pencil there, compared to what's there on the lighthouse. Because the lighthouse should not be as reflective, but of course it should be still be illuminated from that sunset there. Did this do any good? Apparently it didn't. Wow, okay, this brush was too big. Is this the one that I had before? It was Phil's detail brush, that far I recall. I think it was not 9 pixels, it was like 5 pixels. You see, because I cropped this entire image down, it was good that we started at a pretty high resolution, because right now I think what are the dimensions? It's 1200 by 2100 pixels, and here I'm already experiencing some sort of pixel soup. So yeah, that is not too good when drawing, but I think for now, since it's just details, that's okay. But sometimes you want to have a bit more more resolution when drawing details. So I'm just imagining, so this should be maybe the shadow casting there from down below. So yeah, I think I like how this looks. Maybe also have a bit more from this side, so that this roof or whatever it is really catches the light from below. And make this a bit softer, but not too soft. You can see here that when I'm drawing, making things softer, yeah, now it's really pixel soup. That of course now I'm halfway outside of the actual lighthouse that I want to draw on. And what I usually do, I'm not quite sure why I didn't do it this time, I can control click on the layer that I want to draw on. So you can see here now it got this selection there, and of course I can't paint outside of the election. This is how messed up we are at this point. Yeah, and now I didn't lose the selection. When I'm hitting Control H, I just hit the selection, and so now I can do drawing and without the fear of ever going outside the bounds of what I want to draw. Like so. But I think this is also too soft. Well, no, maybe a little bit. Not quite sure. Again, specularity. It's fun, but it's also hard because, yeah, like I said, I'm just drawing there what I can draw, and the rest is just hinted at, just implied by specular reflections. And then of course those really have to be spot on. That it's a bit like pixel art, right? Where just one pixel, especially if you have a face that's like 8 by 8 pixels, where you put the eye pixel is super important for your character not to look derpy. And yeah, it's a bit similar there with specular reflections. You really have to get them right. I try now a soft charcoal brush that it's not as hard. Maybe, yeah, I think this could work better. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I need it needs a really hard outline. Maybe I was right all along. I'm just a bit too afraid that it might look too Remco says, looks... Oh, yeah, sorry, I have to look to catch up now with the chat. Speaking of cheers, my tea is ready. Right, looks a bit like a robot with 2 arms and 1 big eye. Oh yes, this could also be. This could also be. It's like a robot that's punching there, and this is his fist there a bit. Yeah, now I see it. I can't unsee it. Damn. Not if you zoom out, of course. Well, he did say he wanted to keep it ambiguous, right? So yeah, I think this is good. If you see a robot, this is fine with me. Reminds me of the animated film Aliens vs. Robots or similar. Was there an animated film? But I think I can see what you mean. It looks a bit cute. It looks a bit cute. Why can't I draw? Of course, yeah, I still got the selection there. I wanted to. Okay, so this is kinda okay. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's too much, the specularity, because if you have too much specularity on everything, it looks wrong and fake and a bit cheap. So maybe I get rid of some of this here. Yeah, maybe like this. I think this is better. This looks a bit more realistic. And then, of course, doing the spec, I called it spec 1, spec 2. Yeah, maybe do something there on the trees as well. Again, not too much. I hope. I mean, I'm saying now not too much, and then it probably will be a mess when I'm done. How does this look? Could this work? It could work. Monsters versus aliens. Yeah, I think I saw the film. It was quite a while back. Is it 10 years? Oh my god, is it 10 years old now? And of course we have here, so we assume the sun is here, so it would be shining light onto also this thing here. But now the problem here is that it blends a bit too much into the actual sky here. So maybe it's a bit too much, but yeah, not quite sure how this could work there. Yeah, I think this is okay. Cool, save, and the other thing, this blue eye that I called here. Let's see what I can do with this. Do we really need it? If I turn it down, yeah, you actually need it. Okay, maybe. Again, I'm also a big fan of drawing lens flares, so I'm just trying now to draw one. So that this thing, that you really get the feeling, oh my god, it's looking right at me. Okay, maybe I need to blur this a bit much though. And it's cut off at the sides, so I blur it again and keep drawing over it. I mean, this looks okay at first glance, but if you look at the small navigator here, you can see how badly I drew here this thing, so I have to probably draw it again. Lady Musliv says if you leave it unblurred, it gives it a feeling of fog. Yeah, I want to just blur it there for the white glow, because I don't think I can get it right when drawing it by hand. So because I really want to have this kind of fall off there, it's not as splotchy as when I'm drawing it by hand like this. And I didn't mean to select another brush. And then do the more defined glow in the middle there manually. At least that's the plan. Oh my god, this was the eye. So I didn't do this on layer 12, I did this on layer I. Never mind then. Yeah, let's call this glow white. Save. And add another one and call this glow tight. Yeah, it's not as tight. It's still too badly drawn. Okay, this is going to take a bit longer. My opacity is at 12%. Let's bring it down to 3% so that really can't do things incorrectly. Of course, this is now too strong. I'm aware of that. But I can always bring down the opacity as soon as I'm done. I just feel that I need to get it right, how it looks right now. Okay, then another one that's still closer. You can see, so with this just stacking on the color very softly towards the center, it really feels like there's some kind of atmosphere there, and it feels really bright. Okay, so now where is my Fills Detail brush? Fills Fine Brush version 1 and 15, and now I just redraw the eye here, but I need the opacity of course at 100%. So this shall be the center. Beautiful. Now I call this eye, and you know what? I will lock this layer now that I don't move it or don't draw over it. So layer 12. So pretty much all of this should go into its own bin, and I call this just eye light, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, in the context of the painting, it does. So shouldn't make this much softer anyway. By the way, maybe you can see it also here. This is okay. Now that I've zoomed in, it's gone. But when I zoom in like this, you can see these sorts of bands that are going on here. And yeah, this is actually really called banding, and this is something that happens because of not enough bit depth per pixel. And why is this happening? For one thing is usually this happens when you have an 8-bit per pixel image. This is why I always start here at 16 bits per pixel. But why do we see this here now? I think this has to do just with the Photoshop buffer, the display buffer, because when I zoom in, it's gone. I'm not quite sure how well you can see this there on the stream. I will zoom in like this and then zoom in. And yeah, I think maybe as when you zoom out, the buffer that's being displayed is only at 8 bits per pixels. Yeah, sorry for the erratic movement there. But yeah, this is just something. This is why I always start with, let me zoom out. This is why I always start with 16 bits per pixels, especially in these very soft gradients and so on. This is something that becomes really obvious. And you don't have this only when drawing in Photoshop. This is something that happens. Again, I work as a colorist and work a lot with video and different video clips that need to look nice. And this is, you see this happening a lot in digital video with skies and sky gradients, especially if it's not shot with a super high-end motion picture digital film camera, because those really pack the punch and pack the bit depth to encode all those nuances of color. And yeah, I mean, in the end, all you see is an 8-bit per pixels final image, but this is underneath all the pixels are composed together in 16-bit in this one. And yeah, just a heads up, or yeah, just essentially just bitching about the crappy footage I sometimes have to work with at work. And yeah, this is just an unwanted artifact that happens a lot. Remco says banding, not banding is visible on the stream. Wonderful. Okay, good. because when you compress something to H.264 or H.265, also of course it's, unless you flag it that it's 10 bits per pixels like with HDR content, it also gets downsampled to 8 bit per pixels. And usually this banding, I mean, when I tell you there is absolutely no banding on my screen, there's a good chance that it will still band or look banded. Let me have a look there on Twitch. Yeah, I can't really see it, but yeah, banding is the bane of my existence sometimes. At least it feels like it. Okay, back to drawing this lens flare. Some of you know that I've once made a video about lens flares, and this is what essentially I'm just recreating now. Not the video, of course, but there are different elements to lens flares. We have this big glow that's happening, and in the middle of a bright light usually there's something of a spike ball, as it's called, and I don't want to have it too spiky. Or maybe we could try. But the problem is, in this one, of course, this is not a photorealistic rendering of anything, so it wouldn't make sense if I put a relatively photorealistic lens flare on top or try to recreate one myself. But yeah, this is this spike ball here. Again, this is not how it's going to look in the final product then, of course, but just for me starting out with those artifacts there, I'm just going all overboard and then tone it down a little or much. Okay, so to give this spike ball a bit better, I just make a selection that's roughly centered. And again, I'm using a beautiful blur effect and using this radial blur. And this tool, you can see how old this is from the UI. I think this is over 20 years old, literally, and been in Photoshop since. Because you can set here the blur center, you can't have a live preview of it where it is. So this is why I always make a selection around it and have it in the center, what I want to have in the center there, because I really can't I can't see where am I blurring or where the center of my blur is. So, and I'm blurring this quite much, and yeah, the center I didn't quite manage to get, so maybe I try it again. And yeah, now this looks okay. And now do it again, not motion blur, filter, blur, radial blur, and say amount like 100. And I repeat this like 3 or 4 times. And now we got this spiky ball, as we have it in lens flares. And then just for good measure, I have another glow on top of it there. I think the problem is that this charcoal brush is not entirely round. This is what's causing me a lot of issues there. Is this spike ball? No, because you can see when I'm drawing here, it's really hard to make a perfect circle, especially if you don't really see it where you're drawing. Yeah, opacity down to 2%. And now I can just build it up here. Maybe 2% was a bit too little. Yeah, no. Yeah, more like this. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And just blur it just a tad, just a little. And then of course when we think we are Michael Bay, we can make a anamorphic streak there. This is something that happens sometimes with anamorphic lenses, well, not sometimes, usually with anamorphic lenses, that bright lights make this streak to the left and the right. And I think this is one of the visual artifacts that have been used way too much, in my opinion. Because if you look at games, I think was it Mass Effect, where to get this science fiction-y flair there, they used lens flares like a lot, and maybe it was just a bit too much. So in my case, I'm not going to do this. And this eye light here, so I keep the eye outside of this eye light and say pretty much everything is not pass through but add. And the difference, it's hard to spot because it's a solid color essentially. But now I turn down here the opacity, that it still looks bright, right? But you know what, maybe I do this individually. So the glow white is okay, but maybe the spike ball is too much, and also this glow there again is also too much. Maybe I need the spike ball to be bigger. Yeah, let's try this. Oh, this was the wrong one. There we go. Let's try this 200%. It looks bright, but you hardly can tell that this is supposed to be some sort of lighthouse. Yeah, it's a fine line of it being too bright, but now if I turn down or turn off the adjustment layer, you hardly can see anything that's happening here. So you know what, I think maybe in the final image I will keep the adjustment layer, and I think the adjustment layer there in the preview is what is causing these bending issues when I'm zoomed out, because essentially when Photoshop does the preview, it takes the 8 bits of information per pixel it has from what you see here, and then it applies this adjustment layer effect, and everything just gets brighter, and those bending artifacts really become obvious. I think this is what's happening here. Yeah, let's keep the adjustment layer in. I think this is good. This is nice. Maybe this highlight is still too strong. If I turn it down, it will still look bright. And you can clearly see that it's a lighthouse. Yeah, I think I like how this looks. Just see how brighter I can make it, that it still reads as a lighthouse but still feels bright. Let's have a sip of coffee. Ah, wonderful. Okay, and finally, so far I'm quite happy with it. Maybe I could still work there on the spray because it looks a bit cheap. But in the end, I mean, if you look at this image at this size, I think it should be okay. I think it should be okay. What we could try to do is, when I'm done, we could try to scale it down to something like this, and then use the AI upscaler to upscale it and invent pixels or detail where there is a none in my drawing. Usually this doesn't work, but sometimes it can be quite fun. Okay, so we got still this light from this little tugboat here. So I just make a new bin, call it tugboat light, and this is the light of the tugboat, but the boat itself, it has this bright spot on there as well. So maybe I don't want this. Maybe I want the tugboat to be completely black, or really just be the silhouette. And have this spotlight be in here as well. The reason for this is, again, it's good when you can separate things in case you want to tinker with them later. And in my case, I might change the color of this light. Maybe not, we will see. So this is the tugboat light. This is smack now, and this is flashlight. There we go. The flashlight. Well, actually, it's a floodlight, right? It's not a flash. This was too much. Yeah. Oh god. Maybe we also need to fake our way around just a little bit by having their sort of fake fog appeal around this light. Again, just that it looks a bit brighter. Turn on the adjustments there. Now it really feels like a super bright spot of light. Cool, I blur it just a tad. Just a tad. And yeah, just call this glow. Turn down the opacity a bit, that it's not that strong. And finally I can draw the specularity that this light causes here on those rocks. I've been looking forward to this since the last time. Frank says, always be careful with floodlights near water if you don't want a flooding. Exactly, I think this is why they call the floodlights. And you can really see now all I'm doing is just drawing pixels there because the resolution is too small. How does this look? It looks okay, I think. Maybe have even a bit more definition on those things there and just some debris maybe. Or well, it's not debris, it's yeah, just some small pebbles that are also dropping here. And do we need some light? Of course, well, they're behind on the cliff side as well. Just a hint of this tentacle here. Again, this all I'm drawing now is just the specularity. So this is a super wet cliffside apparently. Yeah, back to the good old eraser. This was too much. Sometimes I like it when my eraser is not super sharp, but also has this soft quality to it, so that I can really selectively take things back, or well, not selectively, just subtly. It's like dabbing with some sort of rubber and not just erasing it completely. So this again is just a specularity, and now I will, on top of it all, use a multiply layer only on the color of the speck, yes, and give it some color, perhaps, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. I just see when I draw on top of everything. Yeah, this does make sense. So cliffs. What do I need? Cliffs and monster. Cliffs and monster. So now that I got the selection, and then if I only draw in this selection with my color underneath the glow and the flashlight, then, well, of course, yeah, no, it doesn't work because it's too dark. I wanted to add some color to this, but actually I think I like it when it's just this white thing here. Oh, look at this. I painted the red specularity and the white specularity into the same layer, which is bad, but the good thing is that since the red ones is only there on top, and I can separate, well, the red one is also here in this portion, but I can separate them thankfully quite easy. So this specularity should be here, and the other one, paste, I call this spec floodlight. And now I'm just trying to see if I can, when I'm just painting here something, if I can add a bit more of depth or detail to it, or whether it's just too much or doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, this should maybe be, where's my eraser? The cliff should maybe be more cliffy. It's a little bit more jagged, that there's a bit more shadows being casted by the rocks there. Beautiful. Huh. I've come to realize now that it maybe would have been interesting if this light of the tugboat would show a bit more there of our tentacle there, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense that it's getting illuminated a lot, if at all. There it blends a bit too much into the cliff, so I'm not quite happy with how this looks. Maybe if I just really keep it to the edge, at least what's on the cliff. Lady Miss Cliff says, I half expect you to throw your phone on the floor when it makes that sound. Right, my alarm sound. I also used to have it as an alarm during the Ludum Dare, and I think was it in, oh my god, I don't quite remember the Ludum Dare postmortem that it was in, but yeah. Because this really happens when I have my phone next to my bed as an alarm, and then when it rings you just try to get it off, and then it drops, and then you really have to get up and to turn off the alarm because it just keeps ringing. And this is also, yeah, what I put in my postmortem, because I thought, yeah, it's a relatable thing to happen. So yeah, really not quite sure what to make of this here. It looks nice. It looks nice. It's nice. But could be better. This is what I'm saying. You know what? I think I'm okay with this. I think. Right, I said maybe the light here of the tugboat, maybe I want to change it in color. And let's try this. So what I do is the entire bin here, usually when you add something like a layer effect, for example, a hue and saturation effect, it is not confined to this bin, but as you can see, pretty much affects all the layers underneath, no matter if they are in a bin or not. And to not do this, took me a while to figure out, you have to select the bin, and the blending mode on a bin is set to pass through. If you set it to normal, then what is in the bin only happens to what is in the bin. So I can colorize here. I think I should be able to colorize, yeah. And so I can change essentially very, very easily the color of this tugboat light. And because we have this greenish blue thing here, I want to maybe, either way I can have the tugboat be yellow, that it looks like something that's, I think maybe I keep it this yellow colored actually. So to differentiate it from this malignant green, this corrupted color that the lighthouse is looking at us with. I think this makes sense. Or can we try other lights? Yeah, if it's blue or purple, I zoom in a bit that you can see it better. If it's blue or purple, it looks a bit too clubby in a sense. Of course, I can also have it the same color as this one here. As for color harmony, this would look nice. So it also balances out, because here we have everything is red, and then we just have this blue, greenish blue dot there, and the same thing for the lower part of the image. This would make sense. But again, this would imply that those two light sources are of the same quality. And like I said, this one is just somebody who looks at this and thinks, oh my god, what the fuck is happening there? And this one is already, I am Cthulhu. Well, actually, it's not how you pronounce Cthulhu, but I'm not trying right now. So you know what? I will give it this orangey yellow light there, maybe a bit more saturation, like so. Or is this too orange? Maybe more towards the red. I think this could be a good color for the light of the tugboat. The only thing that I need to add on top of it now, well, actually I don't have to, because I can just pull the layer up, is you can see here that the source is now white. If I have it underneath it, of course it has this yellowy color, but this looks like there is a filter on top of it in a sense. And to make the origin of the light really bright, no matter what color the light is, if you make the origin white, it looks like it's a super bright color or a super bright light of that quality. So yeah, I think I like this. The specularity here, the specular reflection or the illumination of the sun setting, I just duplicate the layer now to make it stronger, because I think this would benefit the entire image, and it does. Do I need this adjustment layer? Yeah, otherwise it's really too dark. It's really too dark. The sky color is now of this green, right? Maybe just let's just circle the hue around on the sky. Maybe there is something that I like better. Okay, right now it looks like one of those early 1990s motivational fantasy posters when the sky is purple. Yeah, let's keep dialing. I mean, it clashes a bit with the red. It produces artifacts that are in the red. So maybe I don't want it to be too far off red. Maybe if I just turn down the saturation and the lightness. Maybe this is just too much then. Because now there is not enough contrast or background behind the lighthouse to really know that you can tell that it's actually a lighthouse looking at you, because it gets drowned out in the darkness of the background, and here it's a bit more obvious. So I think I will leave it at that. Maybe make the surroundings darker still, because again, this spray here, this is really shitty. Maybe I can take out some of the cliffs that shouldn't protrude this much from the water. My god, the music also, I'm sorry, this is a bit... for how long is this piece going on? Yeah, this is a 5-minute long song. I'm really sorry. This is getting annoying probably. I only hear it there in my headphones very silently next to me, and it's annoying, so apologies for that. Okay, so again, I like it. I really like it. What is this? Did I delete there something behind it? No, this is... Where does this spot come from here? Is it on the cliffs? No. Is it there on the highlight? Is it on the spec? Yes, it is there on the specularity. There we go. Cool. Cool. What do you think? How do you like this? I will try to add even some more darkness towards the edges and see how that turns out. So for this, I create a new adjustment layer that again makes everything darker. just like so, but of course I don't want to apply it to the entire image, so this is why I add a layer mask and just invert it. So now I can paint where I want this layer mask to affect the image, and I choose essentially here the borders and the edges, especially here where the cliff is looking not too nice or like let's put it not too proficiently drawn. So this is just okay. So, and now I can of course change in this mask that I just painted here, change the curves, and I make it a bit softer, of course. Gaussian blur. And like this, and then let me try to see if I can tear down the gamma a bit more, whether this would make sense or whether this would be too much. Yeah, I think at least in this presentation size I think we can leave it at that. Safe. Again, with painting or composition, essentially, you always want to find a nice balance, and I think we found a nice balance in this one. If you look at it again at a thumbnail size, it's about the balance of, okay, there is little to no contrast essentially, and then bam, there is this bright spot here. The same thing happens here on the lower image, so when you squint and you see where the most contrast in the image is, it's pretty much where you want your viewers to look. So this is good. The other balance is, of course, we have with colors. Pretty much everything is this red brown tones, but then bam, here is this stark contrast to the red, which is also nice. Then we got very soft background and foreground here, but the contrast here is this sharp outline suddenly. So it's, I think the rule is the 80 to 20 rule. So you want to have 80% of something, and then in certain areas 20% to make it to balance it out essentially. So again, we have this not only in terms of the visual composition, where in the image at 10%, 20% or the golden ratio something is, but also in terms of where there is detail, where there is no detail, and so on and so forth. Of course, this is far from being perfect, but at least it demonstrates, I think, some of those principles. Again, I'm not a professional painter, as you've seen right now, but yeah, I still remember all this from my tuition as a photographer, and also from my work as a colorist. So yeah, composition is half the meal, so to speak. Cool. Frank says, sounds like a cover-up. Exactly, and that's what it is. This is what my painting is about trying to cover up the things that I can't draw, and I think this is, my style is just drawing the things that I know that I can, and pretty much having everything else just covering up in one way or another, whether it's blur, whether it's darkness, whether it's it's occluded by something. Yeah, this is just essentially dancing around the issues that I have and trying to cover them up as incongruously as possible. You use smartphone wallpaper. You know what? Maybe, but I still, I mean, what do I have right now as a background? I really have to look. I mean, right now my background is, I can, come on. No, there we go. Right now my smartphone background looks like this. This is also a photo that there we go. Yeah, it's really hard to see. This is sea and sky. So yeah, actually it doesn't look too different from this one in a sense. But this one, I took on, I think this was on our honeymoon cruise. And yes, we took a cruise because we are boomers, and and we like when the hotel travels with you along the waters. Okay, I will save this now. And if you recall, this was 16 bits per pixel. And usually, I mean, nowadays this is not that big of a problem, but I recall many applications having problems when something was 16 bits per pixel. So Of course, I can say, yeah, I want the image now to be 8 bits per pixels, but then you can see, because I'm not merging all the layers together, because underneath, I mean right now in 16 bits per pixels, underneath all the computation is done in 16 bits per pixel. And also for layers that have like 2% opacity and so on, so this gives it much more fidelity. And if I switch over the mode to 8 bits per pixels, it looks like crap. It looks like this. I show it to you again. I zoom in so that it's very obvious. So this is 8 bits per pixels, and when I do this, bam, it's 16 bits per pixels, and now I redo it. Okay, it jumps around. I don't know why when I'm zoomed in it jumps back to this, but yeah, 8 bits, 16 bit, 8 bit, 16 bit. The problem here is again that all the layer processing, my god, how do I zoom out? I forgot how to zoom out. No, there we go. The layers underneath, of course, now they are processed in 8 bits per pixels, and now when they are composed together, you lose all the fidelity that you had at 16 bits per pixels. So what I do to make this look good in 8 bits per pixels is just to combine all the layers together, so there is no blending, no color transformations involved, no hue changes, because everything is just as is now. So this is why I always have a shortcut there for flatten image or merge visible. It's just, yeah, discard hidden layers, everything. And now I can say image and 8 bits per pixels, and it looks pretty much the same as before, because it doesn't need to do this processing underneath. This is just a tip in case you have a lot of banding. By the way, if you have a lot of banding and you really can't get rid of it, I mean, here there's a little bit of banding. I undo now this 16 bits per pixel change there. When you have a bit of banding, there is a trick, and the trick is to add noise to it, to the entire image. Not like this, not 10% noise, but maybe 1 or 2% noise, and then make it 8 bits per pixels, and usually most of the banding will be gone. This is, of course, a problem sometimes when you do video work and you need to encode the video to H.264 or MP4 or something like this, because of course when you add noise to everything, your file size will grow, either that or your encoder, when you limit the bitrate, the video will look blocky and bad. So it always comes at a payoff. And the same thing is with images. Of course, the image with noise saves at a bigger file size than without, especially in JPEG. Okay, but that's being that. Let me just save it here, and I call it StreamArt for PNG Final. And by using the magic word final, I make it so that I will come back to it, so that I have to make a change, and then of course it's not final anymore. Because as soon as you name something final, it won't be the final thing, so never call something final in your file name. Your new smartphone wallpaper. Yeah, right. Cool. So thank you so much for watching me agonize over this crappy painting there. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. It's not that crappy as some of my paintings can be or tend to be. Yeah, this doesn't look well on a horizontal screen, but yeah, I'm quite fond of it. Okay, so I will finish my coffee now, and I've been painting for, yeah, this was 2 hours. And for those who were there before, when I started the stream, I mentioned that I might be doing some rocksmith, and I think this is what I'll be doing right now. But first, let me finish the coffee. Coffee, my god. Why is it so good? And get rid of my drawing tablet. Whoop. Right, so I tried to do some streaming of Rocksmith, I think a couple of months back, but as I mentioned at the beginning, I never managed to get the technical problems out with the lag, and that I also can hear what I'm playing without lag, and also be able to talk into the microphone as the game was running, because it deemed sole reign over the sound card, as at least in exclusive mode. Long story short, I got myself a bunch of tutorials and a bunch of mods for Rocksmith, and I think I've managed that I'm be able to be streaming Rocksmith while talking into the microphone as well without any lag, or well, it's a little bit of lag that was introduced, but I think this will be manageable. So would you be interested in hearing me play the bass in Rocksmith? And Frank says, coffee. Oh, there's a question from Lady Mistleaf. Are you still planning on selling the notepads you had done? Of course, yeah, right. Still, yes, I still got an entire carton. What's it? Carton? It's a box, a cardboard box of them. Yeah, I started a web shop and still haven't finished on the web shop, because this was when Corona hit hard. And the postal office was essentially changing almost on a daily basis the rates, and this is when I thought, yeah, just screw this, I'm not going to recreate this entire web shop system again and again, just trying to update the different rates. But I think yes, I'm still planning to sell them probably early next year. I want to get this web shop thingy done. By the way, if you're interested in how this looks, Pixel Prophecy, or was it shop.pixelprophecy.com? No, yeah, still this is the developer version of this site, but essentially, yeah, this is I'm still selling off the old programmer's pad that I still have, the old one that also has here this bad Latin, but Latin is confusing, and the new ones, of course, they will also be there. And the biggest problem that I had, like I said, is here doing this shipping thing, the calculations for shipping, because I essentially there's quite a bit of involvement there, because I calculated how many or how thick I could stack those notepads into certain or different kinds of envelopes, and how heavy they get, how thick they get, how many I can fit in. My algorithm really essentially stacks all those together, and also sometimes it's cheaper to send 2 packages to certain countries than one large package or one heavy package, and so on. So the algorithm that I came up with takes all this into account, and what it cannot do so far is program it displayed to you on the fly. So this is why it's not working right now. But yeah, people ask me, my friends and especially my wife ask me, why the hell do you do a web shop from scratch? You have no idea how to do this. And the problem was I tried some pre-existing web shop solutions, and they offered way too much complexity in certain fields. But for example, shipping to different countries was hardly ever a concern to those systems, and I thought, yeah, maybe I could write a plugin to those, but then I just opened it up and it was just, oh my god, I will never wrap my head around this. And in the end, it was just easier to do this PHP and JavaScript. So long story short, yes, I'm still looking to sell them. Still got, like I said, my complete stock full of those notepads, but yeah, I just need to finally get the Austrian post. Yes, accept all the cookies, because international parcels here, the rates. The fun thing is, I'm not quite sure if this, look at this, there aren't even any rates there on the English version. Let me change over to the German, maybe there are the rates there. DE. But this is, yeah, of course, now in German, look at this, there are the rates for boxable, non-boxable, for the different sizes, and how the weights and so on. And yeah, the problem with Austrian Post is you have this wonderful calculator there and all those, as you've seen it, all those tables with how much what costs. And then you go there and you hand off your parcel and they arrive at a completely different price. And I'm never quite sure how they arrive at something, because you ask and then of course they say, yeah, but this has this certain criteria met, or it didn't meet other criteria that you thought it would meet. In the end, you're never quite sure how much you pay, and this is another problem that I'm having with my web shop. I need to do some test send-offs, test shippings, just to know whether the calculations that I did in terms of how much it weighs in the end and so on, if that really is the same thing that the postal service will charge me with. Again, it's a can of worms that I didn't expect so far. Frank says the problem is that it's a modern neural network AI algorithm which requires several data centers to run. Yeah, this is my JavaScript code, or my PHP code, essentially. Yeah, like I said, with the postal rates, it was too much for me, that I thought, yeah, just screw this. Right now it's Corona. I don't even know when I will be able to get to the post office during all this uncertainty in terms of lockdown. So this is why I gave up on it, or at least set it aside. And then of course there was still the post-mortem to finish, and right now there still is another post-mortem to finish, and so on. But I'm thinking early next year I'll finally be able to ship out these, because I'm very proud of them and I don't need all 200 of them. So yeah, I'm happy to sell them to anyone who might be interested in them. So thank you so much for asking. Are you guys still in lockdown? Yes, in Austria it's really weird. They handled the pandemic pretty badly. The first wave was, we were on really strict lockdown and everyone was just completely terrified, and it was like playing Pac-Man when you were in a grocery store, because you wanted to keep distance from everyone, but you also wanted to get a tomato. So essentially it was, yeah, everyone was just going around and trying to keep the distance, because potentially everyone was the plague carrier. So the past months rates have skyrocketed in Austria, and they imposed another medium hard lockdown. And people, I feel, they don't take it as seriously as the first time around, because the first time there was hardly anyone on the streets, no pedestrians, no traffic, just buses and so on. And right now, in this medium lockdown that we have, it feels like pretty much the same all day, every day. And I think this is also the problem, that some people are just showing fatigue of adhering to the measures against it, and they just keep meeting up, and things are still spreading. And so this is why I think Germany is imposing another lockdown starting tomorrow, and Austria is, again, they are not quite sure. The government is. The problem is the uncertainty. You never know how long a lockdown will go, and of course the economy and pretty much everyone who's running a hotel or the tourism industry in Austria, which is quite big, they don't know if they can sustain their business, and the government doesn't really tell them how long the lockdown will take. They always say, yeah, if it's safe again, but there is no definitive expression in terms of if the numbers get down to this point, if the rate gets down to this number or anything. It's just, we will see and figure things out. And yeah, right now we're under lockdown for 2 weeks now, but it doesn't feel like a lockdown. And I mean, I'm not meeting anyone outside that I really have to in terms of work, or yeah, when you go to the bank or groceries or shopping. But some people, I feel I can see my neighbors across, and they are having friends over apparently. So yeah, and I think this is the biggest problem here in Austria, at least, that people don't really they feel fatigued by it, and really many don't follow the measures. And yeah, it's nothing that you can do about it, but yeah, this is the lockdown situation right now in Austria. Frank says here in Belgium, it's basically a disaster. Many people seem to be completely ignoring the rules and are then blaming the government. So pretty hard lockdown now. Yeah, there was a demonstration against the corona measures in Salzburg today, and it just boggles my mind. So yeah, I'm also against the coronavirus, but not against protection against the coronavirus. And it boggles my mind that some people, yeah, we're all annoyed. I get it, really, we're all annoyed, but don't get in groups together and demonstrate against something that you will catch while demonstrating against it. Never mind. I'm not here to rant, but apparently this is how this turned into. Yeah, by not following the measures, things will just take longer. Exactly. I mean, to a certain extent, I understand it. Yeah, everyone tells you lockdown, no social contact and so on, and it's getting harder and harder. And you think, oh my God, then I just meet a couple of friends. Why not? I mean, it's been far too long. And this, of course, we all know this keeps stretching things out. And I mean, if the entire world was under lockdown for like 1 month, nothing, no grocery shopping, anything, of course you can't do this. You can't do this. But this would have been over because we would have starved this freaking virus. But yeah, in the end, it's still just a couple of idiots who really just don't follow the rules, and they prolong it to everyone else. And I think I'm beyond a point where I'm just mad at them. I'm just so disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, right? So yeah, it's just something. Next year or two years from now, things will be good. We will have the vaccine and everything will be dandy, happy dandy, and Trump will be gone and everything will be super happy, and we will be jumping on our unicorns and the cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. No, this was the wrong way. But you know what I mean. In the end, yeah, but it just takes longer. So yeah, so what? So I hope I will see people, friends someday next year. And until then, all you can do is stream and see how things are on the internets, and this is also nice. Like I said, without the internet, I think many people would already have broken down. But it is good that we are now living in a time where pretty much every notebook has a webcam and has built-in microphone, and it's relatively easy to get in contact with other people if you want to. So this is why I'm very glad that you all are here watching me do bad art and bitch about the pandemic. Lady Miss Liv says, well, if it makes you feel any better, it helps me knowing that people share my point of view. Yeah, same. Remco says, the rules here are so soft here with our intelligent lockdown that a lot of people are for stricter measures, me included. And Lady Miss Liv, at least we still have Phil streams. Yeah, I'm sorry that I couldn't do it last week. Like I said, I was just wasted. Again, I'm always teetering there on this line of doing too much at work and also at my hobby job, and yeah, that I'm just pushing myself too much. And also my wife said, yeah, you really need some time for yourself. You really need to take a step back, because I always get this enormous feeling of guilt when I'm not constantly producing. And even, yeah, when I'm not doing something, when I think, yeah, I should do something for myself now and not be concerned with anything, just play a game. And when I'm playing this game, of course, what do? I record all my gameplay. I've been doing this for years now, in case I need it for a video. And I think this is the hardest thing for me, to play a game without recording it. And I've started doing it a lot with Rocksmith because it's so hard recording. Like I said, sound card stuff and so on, and with roguelikes like Curious Expedition, and of course one of my newest favorites in terms of roguelikes. I have to show this to you because it's beautiful. Maybe we could play this on stream someday. This is Brogue. I think I've played Rogue on stream a year ago, and just to give you I think this was the Minecraft. I just started Minecraft and not DOSBox. How did this happen? I'm so soft in my noodle. DOSBox games. Yeah, wonderful. I'm not playing Minecraft right now. Just to show you CD games. Gamers. Rogue. And Rogue's name, Phil, of course. And this is how Rogue looked like in DOS. and you miss the emo misses you, you hit the emo, and so on and so forth. And essentially this Broke here is an open source game, by the way, and it's a lot like Rogue, but it has so many beautiful features. For example, mouse support. Look at this, I can use my mouse and pick things up, and so on and so forth. Or I can just wait until something happens in the game. I got an inventory that I can use with my mouse, I got tooltips and so on, but essentially it's just Rogue. But yeah, this is one of those games that really, oh my god, I'm prone to addiction when it comes to roguelikes, especially if there's ASCII art involved and it's not too complicated. Because some people said, yeah, you should try Caves of Cud, or Legend of Grimrock, or some of those games, and or Dwarf Fortress, and I've given some of those a try, Moria for example, and to me it's too much, it's too complex. I feel yeah, I'm just bouncing on the surface because it feels like, oh my god, there are so many deep systems, and I just want to play and I don't want to have to study this game, how to get into this. And this is why most strategy games nowadays, pretty much many games nowadays, are just so super complex in their systems that I feel, yeah, when I just come home or take a break from editing, that I feel I really just want to play the game like a game like Diablo, which is Rogue essentially with graphics, where it's not too complicated. Yeah, okay, there are unique items, but it's not like with Diablo 2, which was already a bit too much for me, where yeah, you get socketed, you got armor with sockets, but you can transmorgify them, but then there are sets and of course different builds, you can respec your character and so on and so forth. And this was just, I just want to play the game. I don't want to throw a party every time I get plus 0.19% on crit chance or something. And this is also with current role-playing games. That, to me, again, it's just so dense in terms of systems that I'm not having fun, because it feels like if I have to watch YouTube tutorials on how to play the game, I'm not having fun. And yeah, this is why I like those very simple roguelikes, because it's very easy for me just to follow the flow. My god, I'm ranting again, I'm really sorry. Minecraft DOSBox, same things as Frank, and yeah, it looks kinda, the graphics are exactly the same. There, I said it. Lady Miscliff says, Phil, I know we only know each other online, but I still consider you a friend. Oh, this is so nice. You're always smiling, lively and funny, and to stay smiling, lively and funny, you have to take care of yourself, to make that a priority for yourself. I'm trying, I'm really trying, but right now, again today, like I said, I didn't have much time to do. What I could have done is lean back in my recliner chair like a grandpa, take out some Werthers and listen to podcasts about the good old times when the best computer was the Commodore 64. But then again, I thought, I feel like streaming and it feels still good, so I would assume that when things are feeling good and you don't feel like you're pressuring yourself into something, I think this is healthy, and this is why I'm enjoying the stream today, especially. And look at this, we even made some, yeah, let's say it, we made some art, let's call this art. And Frank says, I agree, your own sanity comes forced or first. Yeah, sometimes it's wonderful. It's wonderful to watch people having a breakdown on a stream. I mean, this entire subset of YouTube drama channels all centers around YouTube personalities having a meltdown, and I'm so glad that I'm not among those people. Okay, so let me change now there in the stream. Can I just change the stream information on the go, because Phil plays Rocksmith bass. Pixel Prophecy is wielding the E bass. And wielding, I don't think there's an R in the word wielding. And the category is of course gaming. Or the category is even Rocksmith, right? So update information, and there we go. Cool. So yes, Rocksmith, right? Who's up for Rocksmith? I am. So why am I making this? This is a democratic choice. I'm running this show. I I pronounce it now. We are playing Rocksmith because I feel like wrangling the bass. Cool. So that's the chat, and that's the stream information. Beautiful. I have this suspicion that Grandpa Phil will have a guest role in a post-mortem one day. Yeah, old grumpy Grandpa Phil. There might be. Again, there's also still Future Phil around. I still have to get new golden pants for Future Phil, but he's still around and still working on that one Ludum Dare game because I get a time machine now and I can go back to the announcement. Maybe something like this. So I still have some ideas, also some spoofing, some YouTube channels. I mean, I've been doing this. Greetings and welcome. But yeah, there's more along those lines because I thought this might be fun. And Lady Misliv says, Lilo told me to make a GDD document to keep my sanity in the long term, and I replied, oh, that's cute, you think I have sanity left? Okay, that's good. Yeah, with game design documents, recently there was a tweet from the Game Dev podcast of German Game Dev podcast of Simon, who's running it, and he was reading a book of someone, I don't recall the author, but there was this excerpt that says nobody reads game design documents. I've had multiple times in my GDD the sentence, if you go to me and say you read this sentence, I will give you $5. And to this day nobody ever came to me, and I think, yeah, this is at least in the bigger industry this might be the case, because I would assume that you don't really have time to go through 400 pages when all you need to do is draw the achievement icons or something. So I think I can understand this. But if you're a solo dev or an indie dev in a very small team, I think GDD documents really are great, especially in terms just for yourself, that you don't get distracted by something, so that you always have something for the bigger picture. And I started doing this. I have this Moon game that I started a couple of years back, and I set up a media wiki just for myself, where everything, all the systems, essentially it was just a moon rover simulator where you're just driving around in a moon rover, running errands for different factions on the moon, and it was semi-realistic and so on. So I had this entire system of CO2 in the rover, heat, and it was solar powered, so that you also have to stay on the lit side, so you can't go into craters too much on where it's on the shaded side and so on and so forth. So I had all those systems, and all those were interlinked with bits of research on how the human body can sustain prolonged heat or prolonged CO2 saturation in the breathing air and so on and so forth. It was crazy. The fun thing about this is, for one thing, it was just all you could do was follow breadcrumbs, because I didn't have a proper overview of everything. And the other thing is, I've lost the password a couple of years back to my MediaWiki. Of course, I still got access to the SQL, and probably I still can somehow suss out the original password, but at a certain point I wasn't working on it, and I thought, yeah, I don't bother anymore. So the point is, don't write GDDs. No, this was a bad point. The point is, always do what you feel caters the most to your sanity, unless you want to be insane. There's another anecdote that comes up for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. If you play as... there are different kinds of vampires you can play, and there's this one faction that is just completely psychotic and essentially insane. And the guy who wrote the script for it said, yeah, it was quite at the end of the development, and they were in full crunch mode, and he was lacking sleep and anything, and he actually was feeling quite insane when he was writing those lines. So of course it helps. Sometimes it helps. I was wondering about that. He had a time machine. Why was he worried about the deadline when he could just go back in time? Yeah, this is one of those things that look great on paper, and when you're in production, you really don't notice it. And then when you do the edit, you think, oh shit, this doesn't make any sense. I just put it in there for a joke. So I hope at least for the joke it makes sense. And Frank says, more future Phil appearances would be great. And Remco says, I wouldn't want to debase the stream by saying no to that. So thank you so much for allowing me to get my base ready. Okay, again, fair warning, I'm not really good at Rocksmith. I think I'll be playing the bass, and I did some practice yesterday that I don't entirely embarrass myself. But yeah, let me just fade out also the music there in the background. Ooh. I just turned down the volume in Fubar. Right, and then we're going to play some Rocksmith. I just need to set things up, so I will be back in a minute. And thanks to Lilo Cormick for inspiring me to get something of an intermission screen. It's not animated so far, but yeah, at least it's something. So see you in a minute.